Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back, and if you are new, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am doing the Philosophy of Reading tag, which is an original tag by Brandon at Brandon's Bookshelf. I will leave a link to Brandon's channel and his tag video below, so be sure to check out Brandon's channel if you haven't already done so. I was tagged to do this tag by the amazing Pay from Attention, and I will leave Pay's channel and tag video below as well. Pay mentioned when he tagged me that I have my BA in philosophy. This is true, but I'm not sure how much it helps me with this tag, and I'm not sure how much more I can bring to this conversation. So many people have done this tag, but we will see. So there are 20 questions, so let's get started. Question number 1. What's most important, a good character, plot, or message? I want to answer yes. It really depends on what the book is trying to do, I guess. I love a character-driven book, which, if that's the case, then good characters are essential. However, if a book doesn't have a plot, then it can be boring. A book doesn't always have to have a message, but it does need a good story. So I'm going to go with plot. I see how philosophy classes have kind of helped now because it can make you talk in circles. Okay, next. Should one read books about ideas or opinions they disagree with? I know that some people have had difficulties with the word should in some of the prompts. And I also try to live by the rule to not should on people. But I'm going to say yes to this one. And I liken this to how, I think of people in my life. If I only choose to talk to Canadian straight women who look like me and think like me, then I will have a very narrow view of the world. And I think the same is true when I'm choosing the books that I'm reading. I can choose books that are about the world I live in and whose characters are all just like me, but that would, first of all, be very boring. Reading about other people and other cultures and places means that there will be different perspectives and opinions. And I think that helps us think in new ways and see the world differently. So you may still disagree, but disagreeing isn't always a bad thing. So, number 3, as tech advances, what do you think will be the role of books? I don't think the role of books will change. If anything, maybe their importance will be even more significant. I don't know. Number 4, how important are summaries, reviews, and art in your book choosing? Well, I usually choose a book based on the summary or blurb. If that doesn't interest me, then someone's review is helpful if I hear how much they liked it or didn't like it and why. As for the art, I do appreciate a nice book cover, and it might make me pick up a book and read the back, but rarely would I choose a book, based on the cover alone. Number 5, should one ever skim or scan a book? Perhaps. I don't skim or scan a novel or anything like that. I know people who can do that, who skip pages, and I just can't do it. I don't want to miss anything. But I'm thinking back to the, olden days when we used to use real dictionaries, and, I suggest using the scanning technique for looking up a word. Or I guess when you are using a book for specific information. So, you can look at the table of contents and, go to that particular section of the book. I don't think it's necessary to read the whole thing. That makes sense to me. Same as when I use a cookbook. I don't read all of the recipes, just the one that I'm using. So I do think that there are circumstances where skimming or scanning are useful. Number 6, should reading always be enjoyable? I want to say yes here, but again, I think of instances where, I've had to read when I wouldn't have said it was, enjoyable. Sometimes for school, or if you are reading for information, when I am reading for myself and for my own entertainment, then the hope is that it will always be enjoyable. The next question, number 7, is it important to be well read? Yeah, not necessarily. I know, people who aren't readers, and they are pleased that they've only read, even if it's just a few books in their lives, and they seem fine. But I think for people who want to claim that they are readers or claim they know a lot about something specific, then maybe being well read in that thing or category would be good. A professor should probably be well read in their subject of teaching, for example. If I say I am a professional at something, then being well read is, helpful in that particular category. Number 8, what is your book buying process? I see a book I'm interested in and I buy it. I haven't actually been buying as many books as usual, not lately anyway, but I do like to support local independent bookstores when I can, and also when I travel. I love to check out bookstores, and I will almost always purchase books when I do visit a bookstore. And I also like a good deal. So when I don't have to pay full price for a book, that makes me a very happy person. Number 9 is, what is your reading process? And I want to quote Margaret Atwood here and say a word after a word after a word. But really, I'm a mood reader, so I do read every day, but what I read definitely depends on what I feel like at the time. So that's one of the reasons that I always have several books on the go at once. If I commit to a book with my book club, or a buddy read or group read or something like that, then I do try to make sure that those books get read, or even if I'm doing like a series on my channel, then those books become higher priority, and sometimes that goes well and sometimes it doesn't, according to my mood. So number 10, how do you use what you read? Well, after reading the first 2 novels in Hilary Mantel's Thomas Cromwell series, I was able to answer a question on Jeopardy a couple weeks ago about Henry VIII, which, I wouldn't have been able to do that, so I wouldn't have known otherwise. So reading definitely helps with Jeopardy. And again, if it's for information, then, it could be to do daily tasks, to read what the gas prices are, to follow directions, things like that. But if it's reading for entertainment, then sometimes I just use it for escapism or to learn about a person's life or, a specific topic that I'm interested in. Number 11, if you could download a book to your brain, would you still read? This is an interesting question, and I'm not sure how to answer it really. I think that as long as I am able, I will always read. I think reading in many ways is downloading a book to your brain. So number 12, what are your views on rereading a book? I am not a big rereader, but as I get older, I have come to see the value in it a bit more. There is really only one book that I have reread, but in the last year or so, I have thought that there are some books that would be good to reread, and I may still do that. So number 13, what makes a good book? A good book for me is one that makes me feel something or think differently, or obviously there are a lot of factors in this, the writing, the characters, the plot. But in the end, I need to feel something or have a book make me think about something. Number 14 is what makes a bad book, a book that doesn't make me feel or think. Number 15, how do you feel about not finishing a book? I am not really one to DNF a book. I have to finish it once I've started. I know that there are people who can just, stop in the middle and move on. And part of me admires that, but I also like knowing that I gave the book my all. And, this doesn't mean that I always finish the book right away. Sometimes I will put a book aside and come back to it later. Sometimes that has been a good thing, but I don't just leave it. I will always come back to it eventually, even if it's many years later. Number 16, should the author's personal life matter at all? I wish I could say that it doesn't matter, and sometimes maybe it doesn't, but I also think that sometimes it does. And this can also be for good things too. In some other tags, I know that most people have talked about, bad people, but I'm thinking of books where, finding out the background of the author has kind of given the story more credibility, or knowing that a story is inspired by their lives in some way. So I'm thinking of When the Apricots Bloom, which I read not too long ago. The author was herself a foreign correspondent and had similar experiences as the characters in the novel. And knowing that made it even more credible to me. So I think sometimes it does matter. 17, if you could only read one genre for the rest of time, what would it be? I would probably go with fiction on this. Fiction is a huge genre, it covers a lot, but I think it would be, entertaining, but we can also learn from fiction. There's truth in fiction. I think it would still give a wide range of reading without, getting boring or anything like that. Number 18, do you ever read a book without knowing anything about it? I have, but it's super rare, and I would say the bare minimum is I've read the blurb or someone has said something to me about that book. Number 19, what author, genre, series, or culture can you just not get into? Why? I will go with genre here and say fantasy. It's just not my thing. I've tried to read in this genre, and it just doesn't grab me. It's not a genre that appeals to me at all. It doesn't mean I will never read in that genre, but it's just not one that I've really gotten along with. And the final question, number 20, do you think everyone should read and why? I think everyone should be given the opportunity to learn how to read. And once you have the basics, if you think about it, you can't really look at words without reading. It's one of the reasons that signs and advertising work so well. So I think everyone should have access to the education to learn how to read. But as for how much or what people read after, really that's totally up to them. I do also think that as adults, we have the responsibility to do our best to make sure that children have positive relationships with books. And the hope, at least for me, would be that they will see value in reading, but how they choose to continue that relationship is up to them. So that's all of the questions in the tag. I know that, so many people have done this tag. I'm going to tag 3 people that I don't think that they've done this tag. And I'd be very interested in their answers. So if you are up to doing this tag, please do, but no pressure. I'm going to tag Kevy from Say Kevy. I'm going to tag Alicia from Alicia Reads and Rambles. And I'm going to tag Rosie from Rosie Cockshut, A Bookish Life. I will leave links to all of their channels below. And thanks again to Brandon for creating this tag and to pay for tagging me. I appreciate it very much. I hope that you will all enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.